This will go on for about 1 hour. Thank you. Dan?
Here, give me a second.
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
You shared it.
So during this workshop tonight, we're going to go through some of the different department budgets. We have it on the agenda to go through courts, building, public works, fire, police, the executive and legislative, but we will get as far as we can in the 1 hour period and then go to our regular council meeting. I'm talking to the world.
I hear you, Mr. Mayor.
I hear you.
I am. It's everybody else. I know you guys can hear me.
Hey, it's the ones out there. Yeah.
That's all right.
Sterile.
People watching online.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Kevin.
If, it's been a while since I saw you.
Yeah, when I finally get it, I can send it over to you.
Oh, you guys just saw each other? Sean, how difficult would it be just to pause this a second?
What I was intending to download, but OneDrive has got it out in space somewhere, is the year-to-date on all expenditures and revenues, and what impact it had across some of those line items. I think what you have in front of you actually reflects the anticipated expenditures based upon the latest input. But the only thing that Chris had updated was the actuals, okay? So we'll circulate that, but I wanted y'all to see that because the year-to-date through basically yesterday for property taxes was just shy of $4 million. So, you know, we got the estimate on the mill value from the county last year and projected it out. But it's going to eclipse 4 million for sure.
Okay.
You know, obviously, we've gotten through most of the significant collections in the current fiscal year, but there'll still be dollars coming in, which will get us over that $4 million mark. So that shows that there's been pretty significant growth. And just to give you an idea, if you actually look in the folder itself, I gave y'all an email from the finance department of the county, and we're projecting. Right now, the projected mill value is about 58,000.
58.
So when we put together the budget, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the revenue side, when we decided to do a debt mill based upon the general obligation bond borrowing, we were hoping that we would net out at 74, but that we're probably going to have to do a fund balance transfer in to do that. We're not going to have to do that. We're not going to have to touch the fund balance at this point in order to net 74. The proposed budget that you have showing for property taxes is an anticipated millage of 68 for the general fund. And based upon anticipated collections, we will only need 6 mills to pay the debt service on the borrowing on an annual basis. So we've accomplished that goal as of kind of this workshop. So I just wanted to give you all a little bit of an overview. And what you can see is I projected out a little bit, as you'll see
So
that
you want to
I've
go
got-
ahead and share the document that you want us to see?
Oh, I'm not sure why it's not up on the screen.
It was up.
Yeah, it was up. Okay.
There we go.
All right, and so this is some of the projecting that we've done for some of the revenue line items, and I just throw out on the right-hand side, it's just a formula based upon the anticipated expenditures per department. And right now, the very preliminary look of the anticipated expenditures plus the anticipated revenue, you've got a little bit of a surplus of $76,000, which is basically more than a mill. But there are some things that we'll probably discuss during the course of the budget workshops that will obviously bring that into a balance, if you will. So I just wanted to give you all that kind of brief overview of that for now. We're just gonna leave this, I've already explained it to them. All right, let's go back to, let's start with the council budget. Obviously, when we go through the workshop, let's see, which one was scheduled to be first on the agenda?
Court.
Court, all right, let's go to court first. All right, court budget. The largest basic change, if you will, and that's across all personnel expenditures for all of the departments, is anticipated cost of living adjustment of 5.9%. That is based upon the Social Security anticipated cost of living adjustment. I am hearing that inflation is basically around 8%, but right now, the budget that we have put together for y'all anticipates a 5.9% cost of living adjustment for employees. So you can see that has somewhat of an impact on the salaries line item, and obviously that has an impact across all of the personnel-related line items. We do have the increases for both health insurance and retirement that were basically mandated by legislative action. Obviously, the state retirement system is trying to make up some shortfalls, so they've increased both the employee and employer portion of it. And we're also seeing, as you can see, a pretty significant increase in the employer portion of the health insurance, state health insurance plan of about 9%. So if that's something we may end up revisiting, pricing it out again, but right now we're in the state health retirement system, and that is still probably one of the best bargains out there.
Yeah.
So overall, with the cost of living adjustments and then some minor adjustments across special contracts, we're still resolving some issues related to public defender office costs, revisiting the volume per municipalities to see how it's eventually going to break out. But we still get requests from them for additional funding. So I bumped it a little bit in anticipation potentially of that. But I'm fairly comfortable that if it's too dissimilar from a number that we're used to, then we may go back to hiring a private attorney to handle public defender responsibilities. So, and as you all know, that was something that was also kind of legislative. It was actually done through a budget proviso several years ago with this responsibility. It was never legislatively truly done. It was just added in a budget proviso, kind of putting that back on us, although we do pay, I think, in 2 or 3 separate ways into the overall public defenders fund. This is the fourth bite of the apple. So that's basically the court budget for the upcoming year, $164,545.
Council, questions or any discussion points?
All right. Let's move on to building and safety. Once again, same thing. Anticipating the 5.9% cost of living adjustment. And then obviously across some of the same personnel line items. You do see a small bump in the special contract with the city of Beaufort. Bill and I've had some preliminary discussions that there might be a little bit of a rate increase. But one of the things that we're doing with Mike, obviously, is he's firming up his CBO certification. and he may be able to take on some additional responsibilities in terms of commercial inspection for the upcoming year. The state works out certain provisos, not provisos, but exemptions, reciprocity that he had from Alaska that will allow him to do some of those things. So it's our intent to kind of edge into that kind of the section of the job. And at some point, we'll probably need to hire a second inspector.
Inspector?
Yeah, which is, as he takes on more commercial responsibilities, if we see more commercial activity. And we are seeing some of that, but this would be helpful. So based upon some, and then I think I did bump up a little bit, some of the, fairly certain on training. We were doing a little bit more because we've got to upgrade the code books for the upcoming year. But the budget for the previous year is 209,475, and we're anticipating 224,060 for the upcoming year. And it should be noted, and I'll remind him, obviously, that we've set aside money for tree services, so we do occasionally have tree work on those trees that are in the right-of-way. That happen from time
And
to
you
time.
keep that, you have that in buildings and not in public works?
Yeah, because he is the one that goes out and evaluates the trees. And we also retain an on-call
Arborist.
arborist that works with Mike.
Can I ask what the 5,000 for the shed is?
We own the rear building still.
Oh, that's what it is,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so.
So when we've had,
Yeah, I knew we owned it, but I
Yeah.
didn't, when it said shed.
yeah,
I
it's
was
just in a kind of a all-encompassing name.
thinking- Okay.
So let me make sure I understand that tree service thing again. So if there's damage to trees and Public Works is going out there trimming and clipping and cleaning up, that goes on to Public Works? This is different?
No, like if we retain the services of Southern, because obviously we don't want to be like everybody else and just kind of
Okay.
name a tree.
Okay,
So we have our arborists and we hire a professional company to come out and deal with trimming anything in our parks, anything in right-of-ways that have to be dealt with. And yeah, if a tree's down in the middle of the road,
okay,
yeah, our guys will typically get it.
right.
But this more has to do with specimen trees that we just want to be very careful with.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Oh, sure. Any questions on that one? All right, this is streets and sanitation, public works, if you will. Current year budget, $1,416,851. We are showing a reduction overall in that budget, but that's probably something we will revisit. You know, one of the, we did see something that was troubling in the PRT projects line item. So we proofed out some vendor bills. And so we've made some changes with some of those contracts, so we'll see a reduction there. And I'm trying to see where and obviously you're seeing the about $23,000 bump on the regular salaries line item. And I think one of the larger, and then we did proof out both the landscaping, garbage, and recycling costs based upon the new contract, which obviously was finalized. And I think what you see, the one line item that I don't have filled in yet, which is something is capital.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring that up. And that was one of the things that we did see in the PRT projects line item. It was, we have been renting a lift a lot. And when, Brooke and I looked at the numbers and Jeff looked at the numbers, we think there's an opportunity if we were to purchase a lift that it would, in the long run, save us pretty significant costs and would be available whenever we needed it. Obviously, one of the things we'd have to address is moving it around, so it may involve getting a trailer that could move that around. But we certainly have the truck that could do that. But we're also talking about pre-positioning it in the places where we use it mostly, which is right now, downtown, Christmas tree, poles, tree trimming, hurricane shutters, those sorts of things.
On average, how much are you spending on them?
Oh, we're spending at least 20 to 25 grand
Oh,
a
you can
year
get it.
renting a
Chestnut
lift.
here.
But you can definitely buy one significantly less than that, because I
Yeah.
did one for my former employer, so.
Yeah, and we're looking for a 40-foot lift.
Yeah.
We priced them out. You can get a used one from around 35. So obviously, you know, I would be a little leery of purchasing a used lift, hydraulic,
Right.
although that's what we use.
Some money.
So I want to get some feedback from council on that.
I think, if you think that it's appropriate, in my opinion, if you think it's
Yeah.
appropriate to own the piece of equipment, we need to, you know,
Right.
start evaluating that.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. If you can justify it, if you say you need it, I
Yeah.
don't have a problem getting it. We got to use it,
Yeah.
not have it just sitting there.
And so we'll look at, you know, based upon projections, you know, looking at a new one, you know, typically in some of the capital items we purchase for Public Works, we finance them over 3 years. So that would soften the blow a little bit.
So
It
you do
would
it,
certainly be less than probably what we're spending annually on rental.
you do a lift and a trailer all at one time.
Yeah,
I mean, you can move it yourself.
yeah,
Yep.
I don't have a problem with that.
okay.
Now
Well, I'm gonna
that-
price that out. I'll insert something in there so you'll have a better feel for what that number would be. And obviously, that'll impact the shortfall slash
Right.
shortage.
And I remember a conversation last year about some of the buildings that Waddell needed some maintenance. We have never moved, I don't remember seeing anything come across us to approve any
No.
contracts.
Nope. I've gotten no feedback from that, not been evaluated, looked at by staff. So they apparently are pleased with the buildings as they are.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think I may push that issue.
yeah. So,
Because I remember the conversation, it was at the retreat, that the roof was leaking,
Yep, been leaking.
yeah, last year.
right? Don't I remember, I'm not, remember, you know, okay,
Remembered it.
all right.
But overall, like I said, we'll make the adjustments for the capital items associated that we just discussed to give you a little bit better number on that one. All right? Fire. This one actually is pretty straightforward. Obviously, we have some light items that we typically take. And I did want to note that the water is extremely out of whack. And it's also the same for the PD. They share the cost there. That's because we have power washed the Cypress wetlands a few times. So we're going to do some reconciling with stormwater costs with what's being charged to the police and fire departments there. Chief is here. He sent over the special contracts number. You know, I initially had about a $2.1 million placeholder in there, but it's came in at 2133250. And this is our portion of the contract. It's based upon rooftop counts with the city of Beaufort. And in your folder also is the breakdown of that report for y'all to take a look at as well.
Now then, checking, is the city doing the COLA of 5.9 also? Because I know with us doing the joint fire, I just want to make sure they don't get messed up.
Yeah, the city has a little different programs. So they use a merit-based program in lieu of cost of living.
Okay.
So we have that incorporated in the overall city budget. And we also did a salary study and an increase in FY '22 midpoint, and the city did a budget amendment that changed our salaries as well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
moving that forward into FY '23, that number's included in
Yeah, I
the
just
roll
didn't wanna-
percentage as well.
Kind of not give them the same as everybody else. I just want to
Right.
make sure that's okay.
It's just evaluated a little differently, but
Yeah,
we are
I'm fine.
addressing that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then obviously, we've got a couple of lease payments left in that budget. But I'm sure and we've been discussing capital with the city, so it's kind of an ongoing thing. But this one's pretty straightforward.
Could we go back, man? I apologize for being late, though. Back to Public Works.
Sure.
Did Jeff put any request in, other than the truck that he received, for any other service vehicles, like for his guys?
No.
Not with the capital being zero, this is not
No.
a concern.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, not with the
And we
capital.
have another piece of equipment that we're waiting on right now,
yes.
that's being fabricated. It's one of the trucks that we've ordered that's we're still waiting on. So we got something that we've taken care of, but it is yet to be delivered. So we have a larger truck on the way, but we also have the truck that we were purchased outright in the current fiscal year, so we did need to budget it in this year.
Can you,
Right. No, I'm good.
Could you ask Jeff, or maybe it's Chris, I'm not sure who, but maybe at next budget workshop, can we get a list of their vehicles and equipment and age?
Yeah.
Just to get an
Definitely the
idea.
age, because I
Yeah,
know one of
just
them,
to-
they're putting oil in it every day.
Yeah, we'd just like to see if there's, if
Yes.
if we know any maintenance costs by breakdown, I want to take a closer look at those.
Right, sure. And we actually have, and I can actually give you the vehicle maintenance ledger. We'll include that in the folder, so you can take a
Yeah,
look at
appreciate that, share that with us.
All right, let's talk about police. Once again, 5%, 5.9% cost of living adjustment includes anticipated longevity increases as well, and that's across all personnel budgets as well, the longevity anticipated. And Chris does the projections on all this. Chief, I don't know if you wanted to delve into a few of these. Obviously, I've given them the spreadsheets to kind of discuss why the increases across travel and training, travel and extradition, cost of fuel.
Fuel's definitely gonna go up.
That's the cost of fuel.
And then the travel and training, that's gonna get back on track. Last 2 years, we haven't been doing hardly anything with COVID. But they started to open back up the academy, or they're gonna open it back up July 1, so.
Okay, that's good.
And a lot of the capital we were able to address in the current fiscal year with 4 new vehicles.
4.
4.
And the capital that you have now is for the building upfit?
Upstairs?
Yep.
That was my question. Have we done anything on the upstairs? Or are we going to do something on the upstairs?
Mr. Willis?
It's right there in the budget.
It's in the
It's there.
budget.
Thank you.
It's a breakdown. Are you comfortable with the numbers, the way building
I am,
costs?
yes. Now, I will say next year, we're probably gonna have to get a new roof on that backside, the old PD. That's the original roof,
On the back.
the back.
Where they come in and out.
Okay.
Incorporate that onto all one construction
The
project?
training room and
Right.
the old section of the
Yeah.
PD.
Yeah, if we have them in there doing the,
Do that as one construction project?
right.
So that what's
In my guesstimation, that's probably a $30,000 roof.
So we need to up this to
Yeah.
cover that.
That's just my guess.
So is the upfit upstairs, is that a CapEx expense?
Yeah, because of the dollar amount involved, yeah.
That's. is that
65,000.
65, okay.
Yeah. And that's based upon an estimate we received from a contractor. It's actually, I think it was a little less than that, but I just rounded it up.
Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what can be expected up there?
Right now, we can just finish it, carpet, walls, roof, or ceiling, bathroom, 2 large offices, which will be big enough for 2 or 3 people, and another large area so we can have somewhere to go during the hurricanes.
Does any need, I mean, can we maybe put some bunks or some kind of accommodation?
Absolutely, yeah. We can add to that later.
Okay.
And there's
I'm
the
glad to see
scope.
that.
It's just construction costs get me nervous when I know what everything's going on and how quickly we need to move on this.
The lumber's going up every day.
I mean, even if you issued, even if we issued a contract now, they wouldn't be able to start before July 1. and
I
maybe
think
even
Michael's
longer.
trying to work out some details with the code.
Okay.
There's a glitch, a hiccup.
And it actually could trend in the other direction in terms of supplies. Now, time may be an issue, but I think supply costs have gone
Right.
down somewhat.
Wood's dropped a little bit over the
Yeah.
last 30 days, but not much,
Right.
not much.
Well, it went up so much, I mean.
It's got a long way to go to get back to
Right,
normal
right.
in that aspect. So then I think the only other thing we need here is to see an updated with that roof estimate into this.
Yeah.
So let's bring that back by next
We
week.
can bring him back in and get him to, we can get a roofer, give us an estimate, at least for budget purposes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. So, that budget, let's go back to police. we'll fine tune. It went from 2,705,235 in the current fiscal year to right now, 2,853,950. So we'll tweak that to add the potential cost of the roof. So I do want to kind of a swag on that to make sure we get it somewhat close. What about personnel?
Yeah, Chief, that was the other thing, recruiting personnel, I know you're struggling.
We're down. We get all these promises about people coming in for, jobs.
Come on back up.
And we never see them. I mean, we had 3 people show up last week that walked out with applications and they haven't returned them yet.
So
We
you're
try.
4 officers short.
4
right now.
short. We've been doing recruiting drives at the military bases, TCL,
Right,
and the TCL twice, Bluffton hosted one a while back. We went to,
Well, our salary is compatible with
It is.
everybody
It's not-
because I know we had
That's
talked about
already
that
more.
before.
just nobody wants to be in this line of work right now.
Nobody wants to be a police officer
Right.
with the environment that's going on. It's the
And every
culture.
time we get one, we lose them within 2 years. We just hired one, got him certified, and the wife wanted to go to North Carolina to
And we
take
do
a
a
job,
pay-
so he went with them.
We do a payback if they don't stay a certain amount of time. Maybe we ought to look at that.
I don't know if we're legally can.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, and,
We have an agreement with the other police departments, but,
Right.
yeah, it's difficult. You'd
And
have
if they
to-
go to, if
Well,
we
I
do
don't-
certify them, and they leave within a year, that agency owes us 100% of that salary.
Well, that's
for
what I'm
those-
saying.
For
So,
those
yeah,
8 weeks
okay.
that he attended the academy. And then within the 2-year mark, they owe us 50%.
Okay.
That
Well, that's
keeps us from
something.
stealing, that keeps,
But if he leaves police,
After 2 years.
then we're just out.
right.
If he just
We're just
decide-
out of money, right?
If he just decides to be a heavy equipment operator, we're done.
Absolutely.
We're done. There's nothing you can do. It's an at-will state, it would be difficult.
Right.
Then you would have to have literally contracts with each employee, which would make the hiring practices much harder.
and to go to recoup
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
recoup it is what.
And we had another officer we hired, and he was with us for about 3 weeks, and he said it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
And I thought he was gonna make a good officer.
You see it.
You can't judge anymore.
No, you can't.
It's a lot to be,
Yeah, we're talking today, a few of them going into real
very
estate.
challenging area now.
Going away?
It's gone into real estate.
I think guess you'll be certified.
True story.
Is,
They're making a killing.
do you think any extra recruiting, any extra dollars to recruit, or anything?
That's what we're
like-
doing. It's a waste of money to put anything with, like in the newspaper, when we have social media. I mean, it's,
Yeah, yeah.
you can't beat that.
Um,
And we're in the municipal associations,
So how about-
newsletter, website, the
Signing
academy.
bonuses?
Sir,
Signing bonus?
doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Okay, I'm just, I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
talking out loud.
Oh, we've
Some
been
of the
talking
other-
about it for 2 years.
I know you.
Aren't the other departments suffering too, though? I mean,
They
like
are.
Bluffton.
Like sheriff's office is
Sheriff's
down like
office,
40,
city.
Beaufort City's down, I don't know, 6.
So I mean, it's not just us.
It's not just us.
No, it's nationwide.
Yeah,
It's all
so
over.
that's-
So one thing I do that's been very helpful that I'll just throw out to you is I do a lot of digital hiring. I geofence certain areas, and I work with a company. Everybody in this room has got one of these, I guarantee it. Everybody does. In a certain demographic between this age and this age goes to the areas that I've geofenced. And then when they go to scroll Google or Facebook or anything, it pops up ads. It pops up my ads. And they ping your phone for 30 days. And it has driven, I mean, it's next level stuff. Not everybody, and I even geofence other landscape contractors. I geofence Lowe's, Home Depot, I don't mind saying it. But
Right.
the type of stores that the people that I won't generally go to,
right.
Tiendas, Graco and all that stuff. So when they go, it geofences, it pings their phone, and then as they're messing with their phone, they're seeing ads. The greenery's hiring, the greenery's hiring, the greenery's hiring. I'm getting a 17% click-through rate. The national average is about a 5%. It's really done a lot for my hiring. I'm happy to talk with you about it. I work with a local company out of Bluffton.
Absolutely.
That does it. It costs me $2,000 a month.
We're
But
willing to
it's
try anything.
Well worth it.
Yeah, so
I can show you, I'll sit down and show y'all what I've done, and it's pretty impressive.
Okay, I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I mean, that's what I said, if we need to put a little bit extra money in this budget for some marketing for this kind of stuff, we gotta give it our best effort, that's all we can do.
That's
I know
right.
it's not anything specific, but we just gotta get the word of mouth.
I agree.
Yeah.
You don't- the
We even have a
newspaper stuff?
table at the festivals now.
Yeah,
Newspapers
I-
don't work, they just don't work.
No,
they
Newspa-
don't.
Nobody reads newspaper. It's all on this right here.
That's
It's
right.
all-
Right.
So you gotta do that. And
Absolutely.
I'll help you.
Well,
Okay.
we just like, please read the newspaper.
Thank you.
I'm just telling you.
All right, thanks.
We're not running ads in the newspaper.
No, we're not.
That last time I ran an ad, it was 2 weeks, and I think it was like $700.
Yeah, and you didn't get anybody?
No.
Not a single.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
You
it's
do
not worth it.
LinkedIn, Indeed, and those things, and chamber boards and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the
And
way to
you
go.
push it, a social media presence and all that stuff. And y'all do, I know, because I
We
see
do,
you,
yeah.
I follow y'all. But that digital hiring campaign, it's pretty good.
Okay, I'll look into it.
I'll come by and show you and Van both. what
Okay,
we're doing.
thank you.
You good with the fuel? I see fuel is the same. Fuel price, you did not increase it. Sorry, back in my old days of looking at a line item.
Chris, do you know how much the fuel difference is with the state contract compared to like Parker? 10 cents? I know it fluctuates.
It's whatever the extra tax is, the state, it's 6 to 10 cents, very little. somewhere around there.
Just take a closer look at it, make sure we're
Okay.
hitting that one all right.
We can do
I
it.
mean, with the cost of fuel these days, I would think that would have had to gone up a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And we look at it, but we do it on actuals as well. And
Yeah.
we've been in this more expensive environment for a little while now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
It's still trending the way it is.
year-to-date's 40,300.
Yeah.
You got 46,
Yeah, we're close.
it's close. And
It's
you guys
close.
are comfortable with it, that's good.
Gonna be close.
It's
yes.
good. So you
And we just
you
bought
guys had a
your-
crystal ball last year and knew fuel prices
Right,
were
right,
going
right.
up. So that's all, we'll take it at that.
Yes, sir.
We'll take it at that. You did wonderful projecting last year's and they're kind of leveled out.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Crystal ball. We follow oil futures.
All the futures. That's it.
Speculate.
Speculation.
All right.
Other questions
Oh, shoot.
on police?
Any grants out there that we hadn't applied for
All the
yet?
time.
Yeah.
You got how much we took in
Right, we
last
haven't
year,
got that.
And we're having to go back to the
Oh.
place of,
Do
What-
almost that much to.
Yeah, one thing that we will probably talk about, and Mike, a couple of things, where it's gonna bleed into executive as well a little bit, is code enforcement. We're looking at some changes personnel-wise on how we're gonna handle that. And we're going back and forth with, taking code enforcement in-house on the executive side, planning side, versus through the police department. If we do that, we'll do some salary realignment, but I think we have some opportunities for existing codes as we look at our relationship with schools in town. There might be some SRO opportunities to utilize that personnel, but obviously, we're looking at codes all the time.
And that was the other question. School resource officer, we have one school left that we're not, right?
We have 3 that we need SROs in. It falls back on having a body.
Okay, yeah, I mean, even if we wanted to fund it right now, we can't hire.
That's right. That's what I had to tell these principals at the school, and they just you can't grasp it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're short 4 on the road, we can't put somebody in.
surprised they're not just, they're not outsourcing, because a lot of the public, there's some public, they have the private sector and some of the public schools now.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
But that, the chief hit it on the head. I mean, even if we had all the money to fund all those positions.
You can't hire.
You have to have the bodies to do it. so.
We don't have the bodies. All right, very good.
Okay. All right, next is executive. All right. Let's pull out that one. Okay. Now, this one, we may need to look at the ledgers if you want to dig into some of the, there we go, executive. To get into more specifics. Obviously, once again, 5% 5.9% cost of living adjustment. But special contracts, and special contracts is typically where we fund all professional services, architectural, engineering, legal. And as you can see, we had a pretty, have had a pretty busy year. Development agreement, PUD, a lot of engineering and stuff that's happening. And that's, a lot of it has to do with site plan review as well. And so that's why I've really kind of blown that number up from 125 to 200 based upon kind of where we are and hoping that we can see some of that slow down somewhat. But the reality is, well, some of that can be rolled up, will be rolled up in the GO bond borrowing and potentially if we revisit the TIF. So hopefully offset some of the heavy lifting as far as the legal stuff goes. But we're, you know, as our budget grows, as we see more development, as things tend to happen, we're gonna have to rely on those services a little bit more. And you can see just by the expenditures there that we're relying on pretty heavily. And
Does it make sense to, now that we're having a bigger activity in that aspect, to create a separate line item, one for engineering and one for legal services?
yeah, we could potentially do that.
I mean, it
That
would really be nice to know what we're spending, you know, in each way without having to dig into the line item
Right.
aspect.
Chris, that wouldn't be hard to do, and just,
Chris, you can, yeah, I just think it makes sense as we move forward to really know the difference there, especially because we use contract engineering.
Yeah.
It'll kind of help us really evaluate at what point do we, you know, go to a full-time engineer or a part-time engineer or, you know, in those aspects. And, you know, we all like to know what we're spending on legal.
yeah, and a lot, and you'll see, like, just an example, one, just on the Narcissus Royal Palm Sewer Extension, there's a $20,000 bill
Yeah.
right there. And, you know, that's because it's a CDBG, and that's not an eligible reimbursable
Right.
expense. So, you know, you get out of the CDBGs, yeah, that's gonna back down a little bit. But we can certainly sector those out into engineering and legal, for sure.
I just think it'll help us in the long run
Yeah.
understand where the dollars are going.
Sure.
There's always going to be those special contracts.
Yeah, but as you can see, I'm just scrolling through this.
Yep.
So, this is where we pay Sean too, so, you know, we want to make sure we keep that line item bolstered, right? Let me get back there. All right, we are back at executive. Okay. One of the other ones that was really of concern, I'm just going through this real quickly.
250 increase.
Are there any particular that catch your eye? The maintenance, obviously, in the current fiscal year, it busted the budget a little bit, but we had some concerns with this building, some roof repairs, HVAC unit. We kind of got us there on that one. Let's see, projects and contributions, where's that one? Yeah, this one. We're significantly under budget there. Let me pull that line, that ledger up. There you go. Not much there.
And this is normally used for what?
Just if there's any, typically contributions come out of specifically your line item, so this is a little bit misleading, but this is more has to do with project work and things that come up. Obviously, if we have special projects, like an example here, we did some posters for the Porter's Chapel, or First Federal Bank of, which ones of those? They're coded, they're just in here, they just have it. Are those card charges for? Okay. So I'd have to dig into those a little bit more.
Right.
And then you'll see some painting remodeling for the Cypress Wetlands and some signage there. So smaller kind of project work.
Right, and this is where we should probably talk about Live Oak Park and Wi-Fi internet would be
Yeah,
here.
that's a great idea. Yeah, that
I
was
think,
something I
because
wanted to talk about.
that's in the folder, in the budget
Yeah,
folder.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
kind of brief us on what you've talked with them and what we can do. We've got time tonight, so let's
Right.
do this.
Well, one of the, we hear this somewhat frequently, from people that use the park, hey, do you have Wi-Fi there? Do you have Wi-Fi there? And, you know, at Town Hall, we have public Wi-Fi. We have a network that's firewalled that allows people to come out, sit on the green, and use the internet. And because of the number of events that we do have at the Live Oak Park, we think this might be an opportunity, you know, to get it installed. It's about $230, $240 a month. It would service all the organizations that use the park and the citizens who come and could come down there and use Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. It's, you know, this is not, but that's not unique. There are parks, although I think even the city of Beaufort does it at Waterfront Park.
They do it at the waterfront.
So, and this is an estimate, like I said, total monthly charge, $230, one-time installation of $150. It's an enhancement. I mean, we could modify the fee structure at the park to recover that. To be quite honest with you, the $8 million budget, $233 a month really is.
Yeah, we're talking $3,000 a year.
Yeah. Somebody was upset with us saying that.
So,
We're saying do it once.
Chris, what line item, where would you think we should put that, Chris Van? Would that be a special contract?
Probably just go current phone and internet.
So just go into the
Utility.
phone and internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, utility.
Yeah, we could build that into that line item. If that's something that y'all are interested in doing.
Council, thoughts on this? I mean,
I think
I
it'd be
think it's more
good.
than, you know, it's a common area.
it is. It is.
It would probably help, you know, now that we've got vendors down there, I'm sure they use the square. They probably need some kind of connectivity
When they're
for
swiping their
that,
credit card
swiping
machine.
cards or whatever. People are down there, it's encouraging people to get out.
Mm-hmm.
There's always activities at Live Oaks Parks. I was down there last weekend for an activity on Sunday. It's not $233.
It's $2,600 a year. so-
$3,000, to be realistic. Can you go ahead and add that into the final budget prep?
And while we're talking about communications, you know, one of the things we also talked about was the running fiber from where it currently exists on Paris Avenue down this way. I know that we had one or two businesses that were challenged by the lack of bandwidth
Okay.
because of service here. I'm sure Sean would appreciate, as a local businessman, if we had, you know, better, you know, Wi-Fi
We've struggled with it
capabilities.
right in this room.
Right, exactly.
We've struggled with it here.
I think I have dial-up. I mean, literally, it's like a.
Easy, man.
Like 3 megabytes.
Yeah.
I think it would entice other people too. I mean, it's-
And we've talked to Safe Harbor. Obviously, they're very interested in
Okay.
getting fiber to their property.
So the question that comes to my mind is, do we consider this in our budget, or do we put this towards the CIP budget that we're gonna have to develop, you know, and start deciding where the ARPA dollars, the bond money, and what's gonna be spent on what? Do we put it in that budget and move that along? Because that was one of the original eligible ARPA dollar
Yeah.
fees. So I'm thinking we don't do that in this operating budget, and we move this towards the CIP budget. Because we're gonna have a workshop strictly with presentations from staff on what CIP projects they want to fund out of the ARPA dollars and the bond dollars, and how the roads are gonna be done and that kind of aspect. So, council, thoughts on that? I mean, it's not something we would need to start. Maybe it gives us a little time to work with the public-private partnership with Safe Harbor in getting it down here and splitting that cost. That's where I am in my head.
And, you know, you're talking somewhere probably between $25,000 and $50,000.
Is that all it is?
Yeah.
Hey, Lawrence,
Lawrence, good evening.
I think that's a good idea because the money's there from the ARP. We need to use it for what they've told us we could use it for.
Keep it ready to go. Let's see where this final budget ends, because if it ends up in a good spot, maybe it makes sense to just do it right out of our budget and get it going in July. If that's the number, if that's really what it's gonna take to get it down here. That number is lower than what I thought it was gonna be. It must be
Right.
closer than what I thought.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not as far up Paris Avenue, I guess, as we thought. And so let's get that final number, and let's keep that close by when we get to the final budget numbers and decide whether we want to add that in.
All right. Well, so the budget in the current fiscal year is, you know, about a little over 800,000, 808.20. And I'm proposing for the upcoming fiscal year, because of the increases for special contracts and some of the other impacted line items for personnel, we're looking at about $1,007,070. So it's a significant increase in this budget, but it does, and I wanted to mention as well that, you know, that includes the addition of an employee from the current fiscal year to the, we've added somebody kind of mid-year with the reassignment of Brooke and then the addition of a staff member there.
Okay.
And so one of the other things that we are talking about internally, and Brooke and I are working on now, is we probably need to add some hours in the front office to address a lot of the activity we're seeing related to new construction, business licenses. So we've got some capacity. We have a part-time employee now that helps assist with the administration portion of building services, but we feel like we probably need somebody for the other 4 hours. We're always trying to save money, but this is, we need to stay caught up. And we feel like if we add the 4 hours to that person or get that person in the office, it could help with Public Works and scheduling and maybe some of the other organizational things that we really feel like Public Works needs to address.
Okay. The $5,000 in capital, what, is that a placeholder?
That's just a placeholder.
So the question becomes again, do we need this, or do we look at a whole capital budget and have everything?
Well, that,
in there?
that's, like, we had Ricky's here today because the HVAC system on the other side of the building. So one of the things we're looking at now, we just started talking about, was an ongoing kind of maintenance contract for those units.
And that wouldn't be just squarely in buildings, that would be, but again, it would be a capital. But
Right.
it wouldn't be just.
I wanted a placeholder in case something
Okay.
happened, because inevitably with this building, like I said, this year was the roof
Right.
and some other stuff, so,
Okay.
an ongoing battle with varmints.
All right.
Lots of fun.
We want to have a few minutes in between the meetings, so we got a little less than 10 minutes left.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about legislative. This is kind of we have another workshop, and we'll reconcile the stuff that y'all have given me. We'll reconcile or improve the projected revenues based upon a little bit more newer information and some of the actuals. And then I'll forward that new spreadsheet that includes all of that. Now, for y'all, the biggest kind of the line item for y'all to contemplate is that projects and contribution line item. Typically, any sort of request from the military enhancement, CVB, budget, the Economic Development Board, y'all are typically, that's the go-to
Where
line
that
item.
money goes.
So I get confirmation that the Economic Development Corporation costs were going to remain the same, or the anticipated contribution. We do have a MEC request. I put that in your folder for you to, hopefully y'all take a look at it, because they're wanting us to participate more formally in their efforts to improve our position relative to how we're perceived by the military community. And then, obviously, you've got the increased contribution request from Historic Port Royal Foundation to consider. And then the CVB has asked us to kind of put together a little bit of a package. Our issue is that we have 2 hotels, and we have X number of VRBOs, which fluctuates depending upon, which ones are active or not. So if you look at our accommodation taxes generated compared to the city of Beaufort, we are minute.
Right.
But we still would like to make sure that we have a presence on the CVB board. We have a board member, but obviously, you got to have some skin in the game if you really want to participate with the ad campaigns. And so I've asked them to give me a number, and there's been back and forth. I only recently got it. I think he requested $40,000. I think from that can come out of the accommodation special funds and hospitality as well, so I can cobble that together. So I don't think you necessarily need to take it out of this and not to think about it. But obviously the MEC request, the Economic Development Corporation, and Historic Port Royal Foundation are pretty large project contributions, and of course, 4th of July fireworks, which you got for free last year because of the delay.
We have to pay for.
Yeah.
This year. So can you do it, can you do us a favor before the next one and go ahead and break down what is in the 150 now, and then so that we have a clear understanding of what we did? Put it on a spreadsheet so that we can see where we are in those, and then we can decide on the other ones. The other one, do we consider here, or a portion of it here in the budget, obviously, is the housing trust. Do we want to
Yeah.
put any of that in our budget now, in the line item, so that we have that earmarked
Do we-
as we go forward? Or are we just going to take that out of the ARPA dollars, council?
right
That's
now-
kind of that conversation we need to have.
We have, what, approximately $50,000 in that separate housing fund that's just been sitting. The town, 30 years ago, decided to underwrite a lot of either construction or improvements to homes. And it was a revolving kind of fund, where we lend out the money for people to make these improvements, and then they pay us.
Pay us back.
Okay? We've had to write off a significant amount of that, because for whatever reason, the town paid for
People
some
weren't
mobile
paying
homes.
it then.
So right now, we're sitting on, I think, about $50,000 in the housing fund. So depending upon what the anticipated contribution may be, you may already have the dollars for that. Now, initially, we heard that there may be a request for 3% of the ARPA funds. Well, that's $162,000. Plus, I think there was going to be a request for $50,000 annually to help underwrite the housing effort. So, I don't know how that's going to be prorated. We have an $8 million budget compared to some of the other budgets. So I don't know that 162 and another 50 is really doable for Port Royal. So we'll need to think about that. But right now, you do have $50,000 sitting in the housing fund.
When you
Right.
when you break that line item down, add in the housing trust, just so that we can
Yeah.
have that in there to talk
Okay.
about, just so that we can take that further.
Sure.
That conversation's gonna get really hot over the next 60 days, 30 to 60 days. So I just want to have a line item in there that we know we can go towards. We have some of the ARPA dollars we can do at one time, but if we need to seed the budget, maybe this is the first year we
Yeah.
seed portion of it into there. So
I know there was some discussion of the town using the county-assigned Good Neighbor Fund to address some of the housing, but went from 500,000 to 250.
To 250.
So it's something to think about.
Okay. Okay.
You know, but
Council, good. Other questions on legislative? Bring it back up again, please. Or is it open up top? Anything else?
Yeah. And then, like I said, it's current year 279,653. Right now, 302,813.
All right, the only other thing, and Sean, I'm gonna look at you a little bit while I talk to Van, is do we need to do anything in this room to make what we're doing easier for the public to see and get involved? I mean, we threw this together because of COVID. We've expanded on what we're doing here and the way we do our Facebook Live. Is the room good enough, or do we need to be looking at some sort of a capital expenditure in this room?
The only way would, if you want to incorporate people commenting live. But if you're not, then I think we're okay. 'Cause
We're okay?
Comments and, yeah, other than the internet.
What about sound? As we get a little feedback from the cell phone.
I hear the cell phone. I hear the cell phone. I think sound is optimal.
Okay.
Ideally, I mean, a small thing would maybe be a new handle for this here, or maybe a double for dual. So we can do the in-house wireless, so it comes to the internal speakers.
Yeah.
Because that they're strictly for Facebook. So maybe a dual handle podium mic stand and a new stand as well. But yeah, other than that, I think we're okay.
Okay, and then the other thing would be the overhead and the ability to do that at the podium when people present in front of us, to have that there, similar to what we see at other council chambers. I'd really like us to look at that, so when people are presenting in front of us, they can put the documents up and they can show that aspect.
I mean, the city uses a laptop as well, so they just have a laptop directed to that, and then they put their presentation in and then pull it out.
Good, they just use the laptop there.
Exactly right, yes,
Yeah.
that may be a-
I think they used to have the, I still call them Elmos, because that was the original, they have the Elmo that pulls out on the side as well. Other people know the term, I see some heads nodding when I said Elmo. So I want to take a look at that and see what we want to do in that aspect.
We got an old one in the closet back there with us.
Showing his age over there, huh?
Just something to do to make it easier when people are presenting in front of us in that aspect. And then the last thing is when one of us have to do a virtual, we suffer a little bit in the way that we see and interact, and if there's any.
So my software, we had the mayor of Beaufort on with one of the mayors in Ukraine on today for the Rotary clubs. So we were able to, our software now incorporates Zoom, so we could do that.
Okay, good. We keep expanding the aspect, and there's just a couple of things that I've heard that I wanted to make sure that we covered as well. And this is the right place for it in this lineup, in this budget. Okay? All right, well, we got about 5 minutes until regular council meeting starts. We're gonna have a secondary budget workshop again next month. We're on a good schedule.
Next week.
We're gonna do the budget shop next week as well. Okay, so we're gonna have a budget shop next week, and we're on a very good schedule. We're not behind the 8 ball in any way. We've got time, so let's get some of this.
Two workshops?
2 workshops, and then we have to pass the budget itself, which will be in June.
Right.
Final reading in June.
Okay.
So if we need to add any more budget workshops, we can.
We have time to do so. Okay? So
Sounds good.
we're gonna go ahead and adjourn the budget workshop. We got about 5 minutes, and we'll start our regular council meeting. Thank you, everybody.